Hi folks, God bless you. Look to everybody out there. This is Jamie in Ghana, a missionary in Ghana, running a Bible College Theological Seminary alongside working with the denomination called Lamb of God Ministries. So God bless you and love to everybody out there. Just a short video today. I just want to share concerning a debate between Mohammed Hijab, who's a Muslim apologist, and a Christian apologist called Bob, or Bob the Builder. Um, and Bob asked Mohammed Hijab a question: Can the Islamic God enter his creation? And I just want to give you my thoughts about that debate and why I've made a video, because I think it's an important topic, and there's an issue that comes out in this that I want to highlight that I think is very important. At Hyde Park Speaker's Corner every week for many years, Muslims, Shamsi, Hashim, Hamza, many others, they'll corner Christians and they'll laugh at them and mock them and say, how can God enter his creation? How can God enter his creation? A God being born as a baby, entering his creation, it means that your God is not God by entering into his creation. So it was interesting. Bob, who's a Christian apologist, you see the video on Soccer Films. It's not a good video because there's a lot of noise around the discussion, which spoils Bob and Hijab's conversation. So it's not a very edifying video because there's a lot of foolish people around who are saying things stupid and spoiling the conversation. There were two other people that came in that added something to the discussion, which was Paperboy and Hashim, but the rest of the people around there were not helping the situation. So anyhow, so Bob asked a question, quoted a verse and said, there's a verse in the Quran that said, that God enters with his hands. So what does that mean? And to my surprise, and to everybody else's surprise, Mohammed Hijab said something like this. He said, it's my policy, this is his exact words, it's my policy not to discuss this with non-Muslims. It's my policy not to discuss this with non-Muslims. So it's okay to ask Christians about the incarnation, God entering creation, becoming a man. But it's not okay for a Christian to ask a Muslim these verses, anthropomorphic verses, in other words, verses that say that God has hand feet. How does that relate in Islamic theology about God entering his creation? So it's not all right for a Christian to ask questions about these. It's okay for Muslims at Hyde Park to ask Christians about how can God enter his creation. And he said there are debates, Mohammed Hijab said there are debates between Muslims. Some say it's creation, not his essence, and that's the kind of position that he takes, which is contradictory, because he's kind of making God not to be one, which they say God is one, but yet they're splitting the essence and the attributes, and they say that the attributes can come into creation but not the essence, etc. But the issue is that first of all, Mohammed Hijab didn't want to say anything. For quite some time in the debate and discussion, he just would not get involved in the discussion. Bob had to press him, and he would only talk unless Mohammed Hijab would only talk unless he talked about the history of rabbinic and Christian theology on this area. He didn't want to come down on the Quran and camp on the Quran and talk about the Quran. So this is why I'm making this video, and is that you'll tend to find with Muslim apologists a duplicity. You'll find there's a dishonesty and a deceitfulness in their apologetic method. You'll find at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, because Christians are honest and believe in free speech, any Muslim that asks a Christian, you'll find the Christians more than willing to talk about it. You won't get You won't get a Christian saying, no, we don't talk to Muslims about this topic. This is an in-house discussion, like Mohammed Hijab said. But Christians are willing to discuss and discuss any topic, and so Muslim apologists take advantage of that. They also take advantage of our free speech. We have free speech in Hyde Park. And so they take advantage of that. They take their cameras down, they film Christians, they get them on camera, they get about 5 or 6 people, Muslims around that Christian, and they film it, and then they get it on camera, and then they're smiling and thinking, yeah, we've got the Christians now on that topic. But whenever Christian apologists begin to challenge Muslim apologists, when Christian apologists begin to put the intellectual heat, and hold the Muslims to the fire and hold the Muslim to account, and begin to switch it back on them, you tend to find they start to ignore those Muslim Christian apologists. So they start to sideline Bob, sideline DCI, sideline Aru, sideline Paperboy. They start to sideline Daniel, sideline Godwin, sideline Hatun. And then they start to throw out language like hate preachers. You're a hate preacher. Adam will often do that. You're a hate preacher. I'm not speaking to you. And so they just want to pick on people who have come to Hyde Park, who've just visited for the day, maybe on holiday. The Christian has not done any preparation, and they bump into these Muslim apologists who are doing preparation every day and every week. But when it comes to the Christian apologist and comes to challenge them and question them, they don't like it. And on the podcast, if you go on the Muslim podcast, which I went on the other day, a couple of days ago, very often when it comes to you challenging them, when it comes to you talking about the Quran, they don't want to. They'll talk to you about Christianity, but they won't to the Quran. Kenny Bowman or somebody. There were 3 Muslims on his show, and it was about the crucifixion. And there's a verse in the Quran that says Jesus was not crucified. So it was only right for me to enter into a critique of the historical veracity or ability of the Quran, and they just didn't want to know. They just didn't want to entertain it. So what you see is duplicity and double standards. There is a huge amount of unfairness among Muslim apologists. Most of them, I'm not saying all of the Muslim apologists, but most of them are dishonest in the way they deal with people. And they try to demonize Christians. They try to demonize Christians as being hate preachers and demonize Christians. But whenever Christian apologists do well and really are able to critique Islam, they start to ignore that person, and then they start to call them a hate preacher, or they start to demonize them. Look at what they did to Christian Prince. I mean, what Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah did to Christian Prince was an absolute disgrace. I mean, it really, really was. What they did to that man, to Christian Prince, was an absolute disgrace. It was disgusting. It really, really was disgusting. And they have no qualms about doing that. They have no qualms about what they did. They have no conscience about what they did to that man on their show. I don't agree with I think we should treat people with respect. So I don't agree when people are debating Muslims that they're disrespectful. I disagree with that. But still, it doesn't mean to say that he deserved to be treated the way he did. So this video is, just to cut it short, is basically this debate with Bob the Builder and Mohammed Hijab. It was an important debate. It wasn't a very good debate in terms of the sound quality. There was lots of people around saying silly things, shouting in their conversation. But it was a very, 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 very important debate. because Mohammed Hijab is one of the main debaters in the UK for Islam and at Hyde Park. And it was very, very telling when Bob asked him a question, he didn't want to answer it. And it was proof positive, it was showing you positive the dishonesty amongst Muslim apologists. We believe God can enter his creation. It's simple. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning. John chapter 1. And then it says, in verse 14, it says, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. So I just want to say, before you debate Muslim apologists in Hyde Park, before you go down there, I noticed there was a friend of mine, Caleb, Australian Christian, who's been in Manchester, and I've met him a few times, and he went down recently to debate in Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, and he debated Adam, and it was okay debate, but it showed you, I mean, Caleb's a very, very smart guy, very, very astute guy, very, very smart, and he'd done his own work, and yet, even a smart guy like Caleb, and you can find his video on YouTube. Even a smart guy like him was not finding it easy against Adam. So when you go down to Hyde Park as Christians, you need to do your homework. Now there's a course going on at Succo Films. Succo Films, there's some lectures there on apologetics. You need to go down there to those lectures. I think Oral's doing it. Go down and listen to those lectures and get involved, get yourself some training. DCCI, they meet every Sunday, do workshops, training for apologetics. So DCCI, also Succo Films, you know. So you need to get some training before you go down to Hyde Park. And when you get down to Hyde Park, you need to do it on your terms. These Muslim apologists are not honest. They're not fair, and when you ask them an honest question, and you challenge their faith, they don't like it, and they try to turn away from it. Yet they expect you to answer questions. They expect you to be open-minded, but yet they're not open-minded. They're not willing to take the challenge concerning their faith, and that shows you the weakness of Islam. You see, heresy has to feed off the truth. And the thing about Islam is you'll find that you look at their websites, you look at their YouTube channels, look at Islamic YouTube channels, Islamic sites. Who are they attacking? They're attacking Orthodox Christianity. Every day, the Muslim apologists are not attacking atheists or Hindus or Sikhs. They're attacking Orthodox Christianity every day on their Facebook sites. There's a guy called Mustafa. Go on to this Mustafa guy's Facebook. He's an apologist. Every day he's posted about 5 or 6 posts attacking Christianity. Nothing else. Not Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, not atheism, not anybody, but just Christianity. And you go on all these Facebook sites and all these YouTube channels and everything, and they're attacking Christianity. Why? Because heresy has to feed off orthodoxy. And that's a proof that Islam's false. Because we don't need to attack Islam all the time. We can debate, we debate all sorts of type of people. But they have to attack us every day, every day. At Hyde Park, the main war that they have is against Christianity. They're always attacking Christianity at Hyde Park. They're not attacking anybody else. And so this video is just saying to Muslims, be honest with yourself. Your apologists are dishonest. They are generally dishonest. They can't take strong questions at their own faith. That's a major weakness within your system. And because we believe in free speech in the UK and in Hyde Park, because we as Christians encourage free speech, the Muslims take advantage of it. Because they wouldn't allow free speech in their countries. If you go to any Islamic country, anywhere in the world, you don't have free speech. We can't go to Mecca and start street preaching and debating in Saudi Arabia. We couldn't do street preaching in Saudi Arabia. We couldn't go and debate in Mecca, or even the area around Mecca, and debate Christianity with Muslims and get it on film. And we couldn't do that in any Muslim country. And even in Hyde Park, you'll find that the Muslims don't believe in free speech, because you'll find, look how they manipulate Hyde Park. Look how they deal in only debate if they're in control of the debate situation. They'll only debate if they are outnumbering the Christians. So they don't believe in free speech. If Muslims had control of Hyde Park, they would stop free speech, and it would just be an Islamic pulpit. And they struggle with it. They struggle with the free speech in Hyde Park. That's why people like Sarah and some others have been threatened. And there's been serious threats to people who have been doing well, critiquing Islam, and they've been threatened, and then they've had to go because they're in danger, their lives are in danger, because there are certain extremist elements can't cope with free speech. And then there's a lot of duplicity, a lot of hiding. A lot of these Muslim apologists at Hyde Park were exposed by Paul Williams. Actually exposed he's a Muslim, and he actually exposed a number of key apologists in Hyde Park. Not so long ago, about a year ago, he actually exposed them for that they were promoting jihadist groups, that they were promoters and backers of jihadist groups. And he mentioned that their behaviour, the way they treat people in Hyde Park, and this kind of on the fence, kind of, we don't believe in these jihadists, but yet they're in communication or talking or some kind of sympathy towards these people. He called them out on it and said, you need to like make it clear. And you know what they did? They cut him off. I think it was Hashim that cut him off his own blog. And yet these same Muslim apologists who stopped Paul Williams' free speech are going down to Hyde Park debating as if they believe in free speech when they don't, when they've even stopped their own Muslim apologists, because he was challenging them on their bad behaviour and on their dodgy supporting groups. And I know that's true. I know that's true because I saw a video last year of Mohammed Hijab and a couple of other Muslim guys, and one of the Muslim guys made it clear that he was in contact with Adan Chowdhury. And Adan Chowdhury was in contact with a Muslim brother that was a friend of Mohammed Hijab. And I saw that on a video on Mohammed Hijab's channel last year. So these people are lying to us. They're telling us that they believe in free speech. They're telling us that they want to debate us. But when we challenge them, like Bob did, they don't want to know. They'll attack Christianity, but you start to attack you start to critique them, you're a hate preacher, and we put you aside. And then there's things going on behind the scenes, sympathies, extremist sympathies that they have, that they hide from us, pretending that they're all nicey cultured Muslim debaters, when behind the scenes there's a sordid, their attitude and belief system is really in sympathy with Islamic extremists, even suppressing other people's free speech. So I just want to say that I've had conversations with Ali Dawa, I've had conversations with Mohammed Hijab when they've been nice to me, but we have to be fair and honest. That video is really just saying to people, look, to Muslims and Christians, look, especially the Christians, look, when you're dealing with these Muslim apologists, you're dealing with wolves. You're dealing with wolves. They're just out to devour you. They're not going to play fair. They pretend to play fair. Mohammed Hijab, he acts really nice, he acts really lovely, and Ali Dawa, but they're not. lovely and nice if they're not willing to be honest. And you have to be honest. And I'm afraid to say, and I don't like to say it because I like Mohammed Hijab, I like Ali Howard, and I don't like to say it, but I have to say it, they're dishonest. They're not fair, they're not straight, and when a man asks them a straight question, they have to give a straight answer. So if you play with fire, you're going to get burnt. If you play with fire, you're going to get burnt. Talk to people that want to be edified. Talk to people that want to listen. Talk to people that want to learn. Talk to people that want to hear the truth. And only debate these people unless they're willing to give you a fair platform where you can have 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, and that they're willing to treat you honestly. They're willing to be honest. They're willing to drop this hate preacher motif that they keep pumping out, and they're willing to debate in a cultured way. Otherwise, it's not worth debating these people because they're just not honest. That's my thinking. And God bless you. And keep up the good work, those at Hyde Park Speakers Corner. And I'll be making videos soon, just edifying you with the Word of God. I know 1 or 2 videos have been political. This one's more apologetic. I will do in the next day or 2. So God bless you. Thank you for listening. I hope this has been a blessing. So this video is just saying to you all, please, you're dealing with wolves. These are Muslim apologists are wolves. They're not honest. They're not straight. And if you're dealing with a wolf and you get close to a wolf, don't be shocked if you get devoured. All right? You need to have your guard up, and you need to deal with them in a proper way, in a way that protects yourself in debate and discussion with these people, because they're not honest. They're not straight. All right? God bless you. Love to everybody out there. Those who want to know more about apologetics, I want to encourage you to go Answering Islam. If you go on the website Answering Islam, you will find lots of resources there, lots of resources on how to debate Muslims. You'll get lots of information. So I encourage you to go there, Answering Islam, Answering Islam, and I ask that you go to that site, Answering Islam, and there's lots of good material on that site, Answering Islam. Material critique and DDAT, all the Muslim apologists, all the literature that you need, all the research material. You need to do some prep, you need to do some study when you go down there. And every Christian apologist, you need to do preparation and study. So God bless you. So God can enter time because God is everywhere. God is a spirit. God is omnipresent. So therefore, if He's omnipresent, He can be everywhere. So He can enter time. So there's no problem from a Christian theological point of view. But from the Muslim point of view, it causes severe issues because Muslims say God cannot enter into time. And though Mohammed Hijab says there's 2 views, that's just an. And the fact of the matter is, the very character of God, that He's omnipresent, means that He can, which is a contradiction to Islamic teaching. So thank you for listening. God bless you. I'm going to finish here, and it's just a warning, really, just to watch yourself when you're dealing with Muslim apologists. You're dealing with wolves. Okay, God bless you.